Hi there, welcome to FMCG by Alex. Today I would like to discuss with you competitive analysis and how to stay ahead of the pack. As usual, we start with the why. Well, the why is that everybody is aiming for the same customer you are. In that sense, a good idea that you might have can be trumped by a brilliant one that the competitor has. So their idea can actually take the thunder from your thunder, basically. So it's imperative that because of good analysis, due to good analysis, basically you can preempt them, preempt competitor activity and steal their thunder. So where to start? Well, you start at the top, which is the brand level. So you look at which brands are out there in the market. I used to have a showcase in my office where I would put all of the competitive products, basically, competitor products, basically, in this case. So we know exactly what it looks like, what it feels like, how big their product is in comparison to ours. That also links to mapping at the SKU level. So you take your SKUs, your products basically, and the products of the competitor. So let's say they have a slightly bigger or smaller pack size than you. Their packaging looks different from yours. There are different benefits mentioned on the packaging. So these are mapping the SKUs basically, the benefits and also the pack sizes. Then you third one is you map at the channel level. So you use the distribution matrix, meaning like all of the channels in the market, you go over them and you check where which product is available. So your products versus the products of the competitor. Not every competitor might be everywhere. That is also a very interesting thing to start with because, yeah, that also means that they're not maxing out their distribution yet, or you are actually not maxing out your distribution yet. So if they are in places where you are not yet, that could also be an insight that you are looking at. Then we come to the nitty gritty, which is inferiority, parity, and superiority. So, first, you start with the points of inferiority. So, you are looking at your own product versus the product of the competitor. So, all the competitor products you've mapped out now, and you're looking at what they do, what are the functional benefits, what are the ways they package it, what are the pack sizes, basically. So, you can see where you are, yeah, basically inferior to your competitor. Then, points of parity, meaning, okay, I have a, let's say, 125 milliliter pack size and the competitor has one too. Now, yeah, that's a point of parity basically. Then points of superiority, so where are you better? That is real was it qualitative assessment rather than looking at, like gut feeling, or like we are better than the other. But points of superiority meaning like, what are you doing better? In what way are your products better than the products of the competitor? And leading everything here is what the market says. So let's say you could have a competitor who is, let's say, making a product that has certain ingredients that the market simply is not ready for. I remember I worked for a dairy company in Indonesia where we had a sweetened condensed milk product, which was a very high quality product. It's just that the product itself was basically a condiment or a substitute basically for milk. It was sold as a substitute for milk by our competitor, and they were actually really looking at making it as cheap as possible. While our company was actually making a very high quality product in comparison to the competitor. It's just that for that reason we could not match the prices, and we had to discontinue the product after a while. So this is basically one of the examples where you have maybe superiority in the product quality. It's just that the market doesn't care, and that's why it's irrelevant. So what the market says actually is very important in that case. The point is, like, if you have certain points, let's say you have 3 4 points of parity and 1 point of superiority, you have a chance to grow. If you are having 3 points of parity and a point of inferiority, yeah, you will be overtaken by your competitor. So the idea is actually to match it. Parity is neutral. Inferiority, of course, is bad. But if you have more points of superiority, yeah, you have a chance to grow. Then we get to the do's and don'ts. Now, first of all, I think this is a no-brainer, but I just want to mention it anyway. Avoid the race to the bottom. So basically, meaning cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. You are going into a price war with your competitor. In some cases, it can be, if you're attacking the profit center of the competitor, it can be a strategic move where you are hurting them or kicking them when they're down, basically, just pushing them over the edge of the cliff, so to speak, where it really makes, sense to do it. But in general, live and let live. That is something I've also learned over the years, is that in some cases, again, we're looking at a dairy company basically, where every dairy company in Indonesia had its strong points basically. If you look at Sumatra, Frisian flag was the number one, Kalimantan Indomilk was the number one, Java and Bali, and probably also Sulawesi, the Ultra Milk was number one. So we in Ultra Milk, we were at some point trying to make work of Sumatra and Kalimantan. The issue was that, whenever we were doing something there, we were hit back double as hard by Indomilk and Frisian Flag whenever we were trying something. So in the end, that is an avoidance of a race to the bottom. So my boss at that time, very wise man, he basically was very much into, okay, leave that to them. We have enough. We still have room to grow without actually having to fight. That is, I think, also the leading thought process here, basically, where do you still have room to grow in the market without having to fight your competitor for a few points? Or is it such a competitive market where you really have to fight for every single customer, for every single you know meter of shelf space? Basically, this is something that is depending on the industry and the category you are working in, basically, or the industry is of course FMCG, but the category you're working in. Then the another don't is actually planning without looking at historical data. So if you look at historical data, if you really mapped it out properly, you would have basically looked at what works, what actually happened in the past, both for yourself, what actually worked for you, and what worked for your competitor. At what times in the year do they actually do that activity? So if you plan without that, that's actually like almost commercial suicide in this case. So I really would like to stress the importance of looking at competitive analysis before you do any planning. So I already briefly touched on this, but just wanted to recap this. Mapping competitor activity was basically, ideally, you create a calendar overlay. So you have all of the activities that you did, all of the activities that all your competitors did, and you are looking at an annual calendar basically, where you can see, oh, in May, my competitor did something which was very successful. In July, they did something else which might not have been successful. So realistically, they will repeat it in this coming year. So when they are doing their planning, so this is the thing, you are at this moment, you are maybe planning for the coming year. Maybe comes as a shock to you, but your competitor is at this very moment also planning world conquests in their own office, and also making plans to steal market share from you. So if you have a calendar overlay, you basically have an advantage over your competitor because you have mapped what they're doing. And usually there is no time to really be innovative. I mean, there are brilliant people out there, brilliant trade marketeers, marketing people out there who are thinking of new things constantly. It's just a lot of work these days. So the thing is, normally it's better to, and that's perceived, it's not better actually, but it's perceived as it's better to repeat something that kind of worked in the past than thinking of a bad idea all from scratch, basically. So something that is unproven. So this is safe playing because, in essence, as long as you don't own the company, you don't own shares in the company, basically, it's your job on the line. A lot of the FMCG professionals, they're very smart people, also really would, take a bullet for the company, basically. But in the end, there's 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, and normally they're quite packed already. So being creative with this sort of stuff is difficult. So they really need to look at what worked and what didn't. So basically, when you have a couple of things that are really successful, Now, that's a no-brainer to repeat it. In some cases, also, there are things that are kind of successful or not really successful, and they're still repeated because we don't have anything else. That's what I'm trying to say here. Then, important to slot in is actually new product development. So you have new products coming out, but so do your competitors. Now, it also pays off to actually have some market intelligence or some business intelligence to find out what that is. The source there is the retailer, the channel actually that you are selling to also takes the products from the competitor. Now they have to go through the same process as you, which means listing it in different channels. The issue here is that this information normally is guarded, with the life of the buyer, the life of the marketing people, basically of the retailer. But relationships can really work out where you say, okay, what is coming? Is there, a killer product coming from the competitor that might really upset my forecasts for the coming year? Do they have other pack sizes coming out? Do they have things that they blocked already way in advance? Because normally retailers need to work quite a long time ahead. Yeah, like some countries longer than others, but I mean in most countries you need to block for a couple of months, maybe to half a year to a year in advance what's happening. That also includes new product development. So if you are looking at listing it, it's normally a quarter at least in advance of the product launching. Now, if these new product developments are known to you, yeah, you can also do something around that introduction to steal the thunder, or at least be prepared on what is the impact on your at the very least the impact on your own sales at that particular time. So this is very important to know. So my final message to you guys would be, it's very important to know what your competitor is up to. You're not running a race also, or playing a football match without actually taking in consideration the team that you're playing against, or the guy you are, or the lady you're running against. Basically, yeah, the Olympics just finished, so we're talking about really a yeah, like a way to deal with this in a smart way, where you look at what you're up against before you fight the fight. So we come to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. If you would like to ask me questions, Alex at devriessalesconsultancy.com. I'm currently finalizing my book, which will have a lot of this stuff in it, basically. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.